So I love Disney weddings. Ariana and I have made Disney wedding ears for our Etsy. So today I thought I would like list off some of my favorite Disney weddings. Not in any like specific order, just some of my favorites. Sorry, I have on a new princess top now. So yeah, I thought I'd just name some of my favorite Disney weddings. First, The Little Mermaid. I love that wedding. I love her dress. I love 80s wedding dresses. When me and my grandma would go to the thrift store, we like to look at old wedding dresses for fun, and I loved 80s wedding dresses whenever I would see them. I love the big poofy sleeves on the 80s wedding dress, and her dress looked like such an 80s wedding dress to me. The Little Mermaid came out in 1989. Something I really like about the Disney princesses is if you look at the date, like the year their movies came out, their clothes look like that decade, if that makes sense. So I really like that about Ariel's dress. Her venue, the seating, her venue, she had a boat. It was on water. There were mermaids there. Some of them were her family, but still there were mermaids there. Like, oh my gosh, I love that. I love when he does the rainbow over the boat. And I love their cake. I love Ariel's cake so much that I actually tried to make a smaller version of that cake. I love Ariel's cake. So her wedding is one of my absolute favorites. The cake, the dress, and the venue. Amazing Disney wedding. The next wedding is Babes in Toyland. I love Babes in Toyland. I tried to like do my room based off of Babes in Toyland for Christmas. This wedding is on my list specifically because of her dress. And I just like the way that they were singing to them at the end when they were getting married. I thought it was so cute. I love the clothes in that movie. It reminds me of like that Disneyland documentary I watched where the costume designers were explaining like Walt Disney's vision for like the costumes and stuff like that. Like the costumes in that movie just remind me of that documentary. I loved her dress, therefore I love that wedding. Next is Princess and the Frog. Princess and the Frog. That wedding, the scenery at her first wedding in the forest was so beautiful. I love the float at Disneyland with her and Naveen because it reminds me of that wedding scene. And then her wedding with their like family members there where she was wearing the white dress. I love that wedding. I love when they're in like the carriage and they're going down the road and everybody's all lined up. You know, I think they're meeting each other's families. It's just so cute. One of my favorite parts about that wedding is what happens afterwards, which is the montage of them fixing up her restaurant. That whole scene where they're fixing the restaurant, it's just so cute. But I love that wedding. The next wedding is George of the Jungle. That's another wedding that's one of my favorites. George in the Jungle is very nostalgic for me. I remember me and my mom and my grandma, we would run our errands on the weekend and we would, well, I didn't have errands, I was a child, but I would go with them to run their errands, and I remember leaving Publix and coming home with my like Happy Meal and my like strawberry milkshake, some type of milkshake, and watching George of the Jungle. So George of the Jungle is very nostalgic for me. But my favorite part of that wedding is the song that is playing during the wedding. It is a beautiful song, and him and Ursula are just looking at each other with like such admiration. Like they just look at each other like they're so in love. So I love that part very much. But that wedding is my favorite specifically because that song gets me every time when that song starts playing and they're like dancing and looking at each other. Oh, I love George of the Jungle. That's a good movie. George of the Jungle is a good one. Me and Ariana showed it to my niece and she is obsessed with it now. The next wedding is Hello Dolly. I love Hello Dolly. Hello Dolly is on Disney Plus and Hello Dolly plays on Main Street all the time. So I'm including Hello Dolly. I love that movie, live by that movie. The reason that that wedding is like one of my favorites is because the venue, again, I love where it is and I love that it's on water and it has so much, it has like a lot of grass. I don't know, nature gets me. But when she comes running down and everyone's lined up, oh my gosh, when she, love Barbara Streisand, when she turns around, I don't know, I can't describe it, but that wedding makes me emotional. And then like the camera goes out and you see like the beautiful venue where they're getting married. That's a good movie in general, such good music, but that wedding is like at the top of my list because Dolly Levi is just an icon. The next wedding is the live action Aladdin. If I could attend any Disney wedding, this is probably the one I would go to. This is probably the one I would go to. First of all, like, you have Will Smith at your wedding. I'm going. But that whole like scene where they get married, it just is so sweet. And everyone's dancing and having so much fun. The music is great. It looked like they had so much fun making it, if that makes sense, which made me want to go. But if I can go to any like Disney wedding, that would probably be the one, because it looked like so much fun. Will Smith was there. Everything was so beautiful. It just looked like they were having such a good time. The next wedding is Thumbelina. I'm pretty sure Disney bought Fox, but Thumbelina is on Disney Plus, so I have to include it. I love fairies, so that's a big part of this. I've always loved fairies ever since I was a little girl. I like that wedding, number one, fairies. Number two, her dress. So like when they're like gliding away, getting married, I don't know. It's been stuck in my brain forever how beautiful her dress was. So Thumbelina is on my list for the dress, but I love dresses. So the next thing on my list is the live action Beauty and the Beast wedding. Flowers are another thing that just like, I see them and they like, I don't know, they move me. I love floral arrangements so much. So I think when I remember being in the theater in that scene and seeing like the flowers on like the ceiling and being like, this is so unreal. Love the dress, the music. But yeah, that's another Disney wedding I'm a big fan of. So for this wedding, there's multiple different versions, and I'm a big fan of all of them. For Cinderella, I love every Cinderella movie. I love Ever After with Drew Barrymore. I'm a big Drew Barrymore fan. I love the Cinderella Story with Hilary Duff. Anything with Cinderella, I'm pretty much sold. The Cinderella movies have some of my favorite weddings. The animated Cinderella, I love the Cinderella birds. So that part where she's running down the stairs and the birds are holding her veil. Or I love when they get into the carriage. That's such a pretty part of the movie, and like the carriage drives away. Again, her dress is beautiful. Cinderella has like one of my favorite Disney princess wedding dresses. And then the Whitney Houston, Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella. The Whitney Houston Cinderella. That movie was one of my favorite movies when I was a little girl. And I love that wedding. I love, first of all, Whitney Houston's voice, like as they're getting married, is so beautiful. She has like, oh my gosh, like the most beautiful voice, and they're all standing on the stairs, and I just love all the music in that movie, and I love the song that plays at the end, and how the camera is going up the stairs and everyone's standing there celebrating their marriage. I really like that wedding a lot, and I love that. That's one of my like top 5 like most rewatched movies. That Cinderella. I watch it all the time. You can ask Ariana. It's always on in the living room. I'm always watching that movie. I've always loved that movie. And then another Cinderella wedding I'm a big fan of is the live action Cinderella, the 2015, I believe. This wedding is on my list specifically because of the dress. Her dress is beautiful. It's one of my favorites. So those are some of my favorite Disney weddings. I'm a big fan of all of those. Either way, there's something about the end of a Disney movie when things are like wrapping up and the chorus is like singing and the movie's wrapping up. It's like the most magical thing. I also love the movies where they don't get married at the end, because same, I think Disney movies just always have the most like magical endings. And I love magical endings. Well, those are my favorite weddings. Bye!